The signal that calls your name. No one in Briar Falls uses the radio after 2:17 a.m. They don't explain why, they just avoid it. But Daniel Reed didn't know that because he was only passing through, driving alone on a long, empty highway surrounded by endless forest under a sky so dark it felt like the world had disappeared. And when his phone lost signal and the GPS stopped working, he turned on the radio just to break the silence. But all he heard was static. Until suddenly, a voice came through, calling his name. Daniel. You finally found us. And his hands tightened on the steering wheel as he whispered how it knew his name. But the voice only replied, "We've been listening," sending a cold chill down his spine as he quickly tried to change the station, only to find every channel filled with the same static and the same voice, growing quieter and closer, telling him not to change it and to stay. So he turned the radio off completely, and for a moment everything went silent and normal again, until the radio turned back on by itself at full volume and said, "Too late." Daniel slammed the brakes as the road ahead suddenly disappeared, not covered in fog or darkness, but completely gone, as if the world ended right in front of him. His headlights stopping at an endless black void, his breath becoming fast and uneven as he muttered that it wasn't real. But the radio responded, "You said that too," making his heart skip as he insisted he had never been there before. Yet the voice let out a broken, distorted laugh and said, "You always say that." And suddenly the car doors locked by themselves, the engine died, and no matter how hard he pulled the handle, the doors wouldn't open, the windows wouldn't move. And the only thing alive was the radio, growing louder as the static began to feel heavy, like it was pressing into the car itself. Then he heard a whisper, not from the speakers, but from behind him, telling him to turn around. And he shook his head in fear, but the radio calmly said, "It's already behind you." And against his will, he slowly turned to look at the back seat, which seemed empty at first. But the darkness there felt wrong, deeper than it should be, almost alive. And then something moved just slightly, not fully visible, but enough to reveal that something was sitting there, watching him, listening. And Daniel screamed, turning back and covering his ears as he begged it to stop. But the voice replied, "It doesn't stop. It listens." And the dashboard clock began flickering 2:17 over and over again. The radio suddenly went quiet,